Hello, welcome to the Legendary Roundup. Today I'll be going over the 5 best sounding scenes from 2005's War of the Worlds. The movie is presented in Dolby Atmos. If you haven't seen my comparison between the Atmos and DTS mixes, click up here. As always, spoilers ahead. Let's jump into scene 1. Okay, so this first scene is the infamous lightning strikes, and they carry a lot of power. But before that even happens, there's some nice surround activity right here when the wind is blowing, and I noticed in particular when the clothes flap up and down, you can kind of hear that right like in front of you and right above you. So that's a nice little right there. Some nice Atmos effects right there. So right there is pretty cool. When Rachel walks down the stairs, you can hear her coming from behind you and then walking through the soundstage. So I thought that was a very subtle but very cool effect. So that first strike, you can definitely hear it coming from above you, which is cool. And it's got enough oomph to it where you're like, oh, that's interesting. And then you're like, ooh, okay. That sounds really cool. But the real fun is right after he stops singing the Star Spangled Banner, there's like 3 really big hits, and those are probably the best hits of lightning. And if you have like really big subs, or you have motion actuators, or you can dig down below 10 hertz, I think this scene is like money for you. But for my room, it's intense, but it doesn't pressurize the room for me. So I'd give this scene a 3. The surround effects are really nice, and there's some overhead here, and those 3 quick lightning strikes carry lots of weight, and they're really fun because they kind of surprise you. Alright, so this next scene, we love to call it the pod emergence scene, but it happens before that even takes place, and it's just all this rumbling and breaking of glass, and the timestamp for this scene is right here. And right here, when he grabs this rock, he's gonna feel a rumble, and that's just a sign of things to come. And it's a steady rumbling throughout the like 5-minute scene. Right there's a nice little rumble, and there's some really standout moments, and I'll talk about those standout moments. Alright, the most intense part, it comes right here as the ground lifts up these cars. Ooh, that hits some incredible lows in my room. Nothing else in this scene quite matches up to that one part. Okay, the next really impressive part is when the sinkhole develops, I guess. It kind of like brings up the ground up, and then it just sinks. And it's really intense right here. Lots of energy right there. Following that sinkhole, we have the pod emergence, and just the legs coming up. It's so impactful. You know, I always thought that this car should have more of an impact. It doesn't really. But right here, so much weight. First step, followed by the second step, is even crazier. Super heavy, super punchy, shakes the room. Like literally. So nice. So right here, when the tripod is fully come up from the ground, it lets off like a bellow, and that effect is clearly very high up on my soundstage, and so I think it makes it sound, or makes the tripod very tall and imposing, which is really cool. That really opens up the soundstage. It was really cool. Okay, so probably one of my favorite moments from this movie, ever since I saw the DVD or Blu-ray, are these heat blasts or laser blasts or whatever you want to call them. Centered at 30 hertz, it hits so hard and it feels so good. It just kind of vibrates the couch. It just kind of has some like chest resonance. It's hard to describe. So whoever mixed this sound effect in, oh, thank you. You have to really turn it up here, and it's fun. It's a fun scene. It's a fun sound effect. Some of the best blasts come from right there within this store, and at the end of this, the tripod blasts the building up, and it hit hard. It hits hard. Right there. It's got some really deep, really loud bass. That scene, I have to give it a 5. Just the sustained amounts of bass in there, and the super low effects, and those heat rays, oh, just come together to give it a 5. Demo worthy for sure. Alright, so this next scene is a short one, but it's a sweet one. The bridge is going to collapse because the tripods are coming, and it literally feels like my walls are going to collapse in on themselves. The DTS HD version is just a little bit better, so I can't give this full marks, but it's a fun ride. So right there, I think when that truck hits is when it hits the hardest, but the whole scene is, that whole like 5 to 10 seconds is super intense. And I give that scene a 4. It really does shake the walls and shake the couch, and it makes it feel like things are gonna break. So it's nice. If you have the Blu-ray version, crank that one up, and that one really does it justice. Okay, so this fourth scene is, there's a plane crash, I guess, and it first starts off with a couple of I don't know if it's lightning strikes, but they, they're impactful. But the real fun begins when the overheads really kick in and the surrounds really kick in. So right there, those 2 strikes, kind of little taste of things to come. All right, right here, the sounds coming from above. It's so loud. Actually, I think it might be a little too loud. It kind of hurts my ears a little bit. But you just hear this constant wind from above. There's a lot of side surround activity. There's like this jet engine noise that's coming from above you as well, and that's sustained throughout the whole sequence. I think it's a little cool effect. They were able to add some metal groaning right here as they enter this lower part of the basement. And I thought that was pretty subtle, but really cool effect. Some decent bass right there. You hear a lot of like metal clanking and groaning, and it's coming from not just the center above you, but it's coming from the sides as well. And I thought that was a great placement of effects. So that scene I give a 4. It's got great use of overheads, and it's constant throughout and surrounds. The bass part of it, not so much, but I thought they did a really good job of immersion in that scene. So if you're looking for a cool little demo for your Atmos, that's a pretty good one. Okay, so this last scene starts off really fun. The tripod comes in and takes 2 stomps, and those are felt pretty nicely. But when he bellows, or the horn sound, it really resonates in the room, and it's hard to describe, but there's sharp spikes. The second one kind of resonates too at the end, and there's a couple more times throughout the scene where the horn goes off, and it just kind of vibrates my body. It's not like super loud, but it has a nice effect. Alright, so the brown note in this movie comes right here as a tripod emerges from the water. It does things to my room. There's a sharp 15 hertz spike, and it is downright scary as I'm watching it. I'm looking around, things are rattling that don't normally rattle, the windows are flexing right here. It is crazy. Oh man, if you don't have like big subs or some kind of butt kicker or motion actuator, these are reasons. This scene right there is a reason to get it, amongst all the other scenes in this movie. But man, that scene is impressive. So I'd give this scene a 5 out of 5. Just the amount of bass in the sub 20 hertz range that happens when the tripod comes up of the water. It's fantastic. It's a fun scene to demo if you can demo it. After averaging the scores, we get a solid 4.2. It ties Overlord for the top spot on our legendary leaderboard. Bass EQ definitely helped this mix out and brought back a lot of the ultra low frequencies the old DVD and Blu-ray had. The pod emergence scene is still a great scene for a bass demo, for its sustained shaking and rumbling. It lasts for a few minutes and really gives your subwoofer a workout. The heat rays that blast everything carries tremendous weight, and most people with subs should be able to feel that 30 Hz effect. The standout moment from the movie had to be the tripod emerging from the water during the ferry scene. The heat map has a really bright spot during that scene, around the 15 Hz mark, and yep, I felt every bit of it. If you can hit 15 Hz with high SPL, I think you would agree with me that it's downright scary. There's a few honorable mentions that didn't quite make the top 5, but it was close. At the 107.07 mark, there are a handful of jets that fly overhead, and they really feel like they're flying through the sound stage from the front to the back of the room. It's really quick, but it's an awesome sound. The other notable scene is at 110.40 when they go into the basement. The first minute or so is full of nice explosions going off overhead, and then later on in the scene there's a lot of great object-based effects when the aliens are over their location and then they come into the basement. Great use of Atmos there. The height effects are definitely more defined overall when compared to the old Blu-ray, but the old mix definitely has more output in the low end. The DTS HD mix would probably bring this score up just a tad, and it's still one of the best subwoofer demo movies out there. Okay, I'm just gonna say it. Dakota Fanning is super annoying in this movie. I get that her role required her to scream a lot, but man, it gets on my nerves. It's a pretty dumb movie, full of plot holes, and it's not even one of Tom Cruise's best acting performances either. The Tim Robbins scene? Yeah, that felt shoehorned in. But even after all that, this movie still has a special place in my heart. It was the movie that made me want a bigger subwoofer, and when I got that bigger sub, it gave it a workout. Certain scenes make me feel like I'm gonna break something in my room. This is the best the movie has ever looked, and I think that alone is worth the price of admission. The new Atmos effects are just the cherries on top. If you have bass EQ, the UHD Atmos version of this movie is probably the best way to enjoy this film. Alright, that's it for this review. Comment down below on which scenes you enjoyed the best. Thanks for watching.